Bay area,
Yeah.
Castlewood, and then Centerville.
Okay.
So it's a branch. I'm not sure what that tree
Right.
that all comes
Yeah.
from, but it's a branch.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, tell them I said hi. There's also some Zickings up in Aberdeen there.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Okay, well, we'll get started. I'd like to first thank everybody for coming. Obviously, you got the invites in the mail and stuff. It's a project that we've kind of talked about on and off for the last few years, but something we're really excited about. Those of you that were in Tri-Valley the other night saw theirs. You've seen Esteline earlier this year. Lots of places are putting these video boards and stuff in, and with our facilities and what we have here, I think it would just be another feather in our cap, so to speak, if this is something we can do. But that's why you got the invite. We need the help from local business owners and so forth. So I thank you all for coming. We will have this information. Jerry's given that all to us. It's recorded. I'll send that link out to everybody. So if you miss something or not a big note taker, you don't have to worry about that. We'll keep you, if you have questions after, you can let us know. But so I'm going to turn it over to Jerry Sicking from Daktronics, and he's going to go run away with it. Thanks, Jerry.
Hey, thanks everybody for coming. I'm Jerry Sicking from Daktronics and from the Castlewood area. So I've heard some people have heard the name before, so it's always good to come and out. And I used to work at Depot Radio with Lisa, who was one of our sponsors with Bankstar. It wasn't Bankstar at that time though.
Probably Corn Exchange Bank, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was before you guys were just starting that transformation. But anyway, it's great to be here. You guys had, Stephen mentioned a couple of the other schools that have worked with. I cover from North Dakota down to Missouri, and in the last 2 years, we've done some really local ones. The Esteline one, which is basically the same size video indoor that we're proposing. We're looking at Del Rapids St. Mary's. Theirs is smaller than what we're proposing here. We're looking at, you guys, who's all at Tri-Valley the other night? That was maybe just a tad bit bigger than what we're looking at right here. This is an 8x15 size on the video board, and that was probably this is an 8x15. That was a 8.5 by 16. So just a little bit bigger there. But this is one of our biggest boards out, and it's also the latest technology. It's a 3.9 millimeter video board. I'll kind of get into that a little bit more too. And then our football one, we're limited because we want to use the same structure. And so we're still utilizing the entire video board surface here. This is all video, all digital, except for our 4 anchor partners right here. You notice we're reflecting 4 anchor partners at basketball too. And those are going to be our one of our bigger sponsors. But we were talking here just when did we have our meetings? Last Friday. We were thinking, okay, we want to try to make sure that our price points for you as a business, maybe we could make that a little bit more enticing rather than trying to stretch out those anchors. So what we are looking to do, put a super anchor, a larger sponsor, and they would have static advertising above the video board here, and then at football, because remember, we're using the same structure. And so we're going to be putting in delay of game clocks, or dog clocks, and on each one of those dog clocks, that super anchor will be. So highly visible for that, and then we'll put together a little bit more of probably a little bit beefed up anchor package. But we'll kind of get into that a little bit more, but I did want to share that right away. That is something that I don't have pictures on that because it kind of got changed at the last moment. So anybody has any questions, please let me know right while you don't have to wait till the end of the presentation. And now, turn this on. You guys are all pretty familiar with Daktronics, right? Okay, we've been around since '68. A couple of professors started it, engineering. It's a wonderful organization. We're publicly traded. So I'm going to kind of go through. I'm not even going to have the video. When I'm down in Missouri, they don't know who I am. I'm just a dude from South Dakota. So I'll go past that. But I do want you to know, and you may not all be aware of where we're at. You probably see billboards that are Daktronics. You probably see signs of banks and businesses, Daktronics. But also at the Vikings, who unfortunately are not at home this weekend, they should be. The Twins, Iowa State, and these are just a couple at Iowa. And SSU, I would like to have been in their new arena, no longer Frost. It's now no longer Frost, but otherwise I'd like to have a picture of that, because that's a new center hung video in there too. Been down to the USD as well. That's all Daktronics. T, that was put in here recently. And then got some of our recent installs in high school basketball. Parkson, that was done 2 years ago. Lennox, they actually replaced an old message board, and that's a 3.9, basically the same size as what you're looking at right here. And then Flanders. Flanders was a little different size because that's 7 feet tall by 15. And we had to do that for a couple different reasons. We needed 2 gyms to be able to make it work. And then they didn't want to have any stat panels on there. I love stat panels. I don't know about you guys, but I love them. They didn't. And so, and it was coaching a little bit that didn't want them. So when we're doing that, we've got them segmented off, that we can put stat panels on the right and left, along with some advertising. Somebody, I think Steve mentioned the Red Hawks down in Esselstyn. That's an 8 by 15, same size. And if you go, were you guys in Esselstyn here recently?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of, you know how that goes back there? It kind of is way back. And we almost had to do that size just because of that gym. A 7 by 12 would have been really small in that gym. But they basically were doing the same thing. Here's what we're looking to do. 3.9 video, 640 by 1152 are the pixel size inside the gymnasium. 3.9 millimeter. What that means, it's going to be clear. It's going to be when you have that going on, it looks like a TV. I mean, frankly, it looks very, very nice. Football, we don't need to have that near as many pixels. You see, that's 154 by 440 on that 8-foot by 25-foot wide cabinet. The reason why is further away. And so distance is always forgiving of that. So, but 15HG, we used to do probably 25 millimeters, then down to 20 millimeters. And the smaller number that you have, the better it is. So still 15 HD, which is very, very good. And once again, 4 anchors here, 4 anchors here. And if you're an anchor partner, you're going to be at both of those sites. The super anchor, we put it on the top as well.
Yeah, to be clear, if you're donating for both at the same time. You're not donating for
Yep.
this board.
If you're an anchor,
this board.
if you're one of our anchor sponsors, you're going to get your pick of the football field and at basketball. Yep, thanks. That's a great point. I put this up because there's a lot of flexibility. Buster Vincent, or not Buster Vincent, but Coach Vincent on Sioux Valley, we actually did a tour, and he was kind of showing what they were doing, and you know, he's a coach, and so he had, this was about a year and a half ago, they were getting ready to play Great Plains Lutheran in the districts, and he actually had a video of what Great Plains Lutheran was doing. So he could line up his guys inside the gym, and that he could start, and he'd go, this is how we're gonna play it, how we're gonna defense that. And he had it up there. Then he used his iPad, and he was able to, he's 5th grade gym teacher too. And so he was able to have a dance class for those 5th graders. That was part of his gym activity. And then he actually took a picture of us and put it up on the video board, all through that iPad. Those are the things that's gonna make very flexible piece of display for you guys. At football as well. I thought there was one other one. That's probably coming up after this video right here. But basically, I want to show this. This is something that we have this professionally done for you guys. And,
Football one be used for track also?
yeah, it would be. I'm just utilizing football as easier to say. Is there can we get sound going in this thing at all? So, yeah. Oh. I'm gonna bring that back. I apologize for. But I do want to show on how it actually, the functionality of it. It's as simple as hitting a button. And we'll try to demonstrate as we go through. Full screen. You can see big for commercials, for welcomes, all those sorts of things. Maybe when you're bringing the team on the court, you can do something like that. See how we got it zoned out right here? The scoring down below, add that on there, starting lineup. Drop two, that's what we call a feature. Drop two lineup. And notice that we have an entire section on the top. Commercial, that can be full screen or zoned out like this.
2, 3, 4.
So when we're looking at this, we're looking at it as more than a donation. We're looking at it as an advertising button. Because this is something that I hope that we can get a return on your investment. Three-pointer, this is something that could be three-pointer brought to you by. Halftime. Notice I once again zoned out. And like with a three-pointer, we can have it zoned out like that. And hit the three-pointer during the action, it goes full screen, automatic. I was hoping that they would have timed that up, because I don't think it was actually an ace that was on there. But movie night. This is the one that Algona, Iowa, we did their football field down there. They had 5 movie nights. Now keep in mind, you probably can't charge to get in on a movie night because there's a lot of, you gotta go through a lot of red tape. It's more of a hassle. But as a booster club, if you're looking for a revenue, just something to be able to help revenue, popcorn sales, soda sales, all those sorts of things are on there. And whether you do it in football or basketball, it's a great location for that. I just want to show a couple animations, full screen, then going down here. This is a halftime brought to you by a moment of exclusivity for the green builders in that example, or whatever your business is. This is, to me, the most exciting thing that in the last 5 years, we've really talked about at Daktronics. And I'm hoping that you guys want to talk a little bit more from Elkton's perspective, what you will be doing. But the court to classroom, that there's an opportunity for these students. See this show control? One of the reasons why I brought up all those other, like the Vikings, the Iowa States, the Iowas, there's a reason why I brought those up there. We just did a tour of Busch Stadium down in Missouri, in St. Louis. This was there. This is our show control system. No matter where you go, you're going to have that show control. And they build up a lot around it though. It's a big room. But this is their starting point. And this is the thing where these students, that they can start maybe finding a career path. Something that, hey, we may want to do this in the future. Here's some future careers. Mark Eisenstadt, we work with a lot of colleges throughout the nation. And these are just a few of those. He's got the Cubs there, Stanford, University of Missouri, Southern California. All of those are looking for students in the high school level that has experience with the Daktronics Videoboards. We have about 85% of the major colleges around the country. I think 75% of the major pros as well. And so when we're doing that, there's opportunity for these students that, okay, I can go to that next level. And I'm gonna be coming to you here in just a little bit, Steve, so bear with me, but I do want to share this. This is, we did Liberty North, up in North Kansas City, and we did that about 10 years ago. This student, Connor Peters was his name, he's a Liberty North graduate. He started out at that Liberty North High School. So being introduced to Daktronics in high school gave him a leg up, and some of the same technology were used at the Royals and Chiefs. And his progression was that he went to Missouri Western, and now he's freelancing at the Royals and at the Chiefs. And that's what he does for a living. And I think he actually does a little bit of the Sounders down there too in Nashville. But he discovered that in high school, and it was a wonderful occupation for him. And once kind of showing all the major colleges in our region on there too. But beyond, one of the things beyond sports, though, not everybody wants a doorman. Not everybody wants to run an arena or a stadium. Those same skill sets allows for video production, sports marketing, advanced photography, all those things, be able computer animation, graphics, all those things, the same skill sets are brought to their table. And they get that ground floor on that for really, really good paying jobs. You guys in the back, can you read this? Can you really?
Mhm.
I can, okay, much better eyes. You can see good paying jobs and a lot of them. And the segment of the economy for those jobs are 10%. They're growing at a 10% rate in the media and broadcast. All other occupations are 5%. So it's well above the national average. So those skill sets that the students are learning could bring them to a career at a professional stadium or a college stadium setting, but it doesn't have to. It sets them up for some good jobs. And Steve, you want to maybe talk about what you guys are looking to do here at Elkton?
You know, that's a huge part for us, because those are kind of classes I teach, so it feeds right into our curriculum. And with this, Daktronics has a set curriculum that we get if we move forward with this project. So there's classes that I already teach that this rolls right into. It's the South Dakota State Standards and feeds into like what Jerry's talking about. So from that aspect, you're also getting a piece of curriculum that we don't have to go, look for money elsewhere to get that either. But to me, it's something that the kids are interested in with what we're doing in the classes that I already teach, and it would seamlessly, kind of be a great fit for that. Kids could work at our events running that stuff for the stat boards and stuff. So it's all, like Jerry said, getting in on that ground floor, and whether or not it leads to a career down the road for them, who knows? But it's exposure that real life, stuff hands-on early in their high school career that maybe leads them down a path that they're interested in later on. So.
And the one thing that we have too, it's a crew connect that we call it, basically a conduit from our high schools, that Daktronics is kind of a conduit for the high schools to the colleges. And we've had colleges that have asked us, do you have any students or any kids in high school that can run this? And so what we do, we provide a conduit. So you saw like at Iowa or Minnesota or SDSU, USD. Now we provide that, those students at the high school, they can contact those event producers at all those colleges and say, hey, I'm coming there next year. Is there anything? And those event producers, also, they're right in there. They want that. They've asked us for that. So to me, that's a wonderful thing to be able to help. And the reason I bring it up here, it's not necessarily a return on the investment, but I always look at, most businesses are looking at a return on objective. What's our objective? It's usually helping out schools. It's usually helping out our students, our kids. And so it's all part of it. And return on investment as well. And so when we can do that, it's exciting. It truly is fun watching some of those kids what they do. And when I go to a school and I see the students that are running it, or I can tell if students have something to do with what's going on that board, because it looks cool. It's exciting. And when you have something, you always have oversight with students. There always has to be oversight. But man, they come up with some cool stuff, man. Cool stuff. So that's kind of cool. But the reason you're here, hey, creating awareness and visibility, what's in it for us as a business? Increasing brand loyalty by increasing that awareness and visibility. Doing that in a couple different ways. Doing static advertising at football and at basketball. Interact with customers. We're going to show a different way that you're going to have an opportunity to do that as well. Maybe do some glad handing with fans that are at the actual events. And showcasing community and social responsibility. This has really gotten relevant. Perception has gotten relevant, especially since social media. Social media, again, I mean, that can help you right away, or it can hurt you. But advertisers or fans, they're looking for folks that they perceive them to help their schools, causes that they care about. Now, I'm going to give you a slide on that in just a little bit too, but I do want to tell you all the stuff that's going on. Steve, you may want to elaborate a little bit on this, but there's an awful lot of stuff going on, from the varsity and JV football to basketball, track. Mr. Hammer, you had mentioned the track on there too. That's all part of it. Varsity track. Once in a while, a little bit fewer track meets. Once in a while, more track meets. Wasn't it last year you did 4 or 5?
Yeah.
This year, 1 or 2. So to me, and then concerts, assemblies. We've had different schools that have had like a farm show inside there too. That they put out there. But here's what you get. Remember we had talked about 2 different levels of advertising. I'm going to hand these out. Steve, you want to help me hand these out? We're going to talk about the anchors first. There's a one over there. Thank you. And so kind of want to show what this is. Now keep in mind, as we mentioned earlier, we're probably going to put a super anchor on the top here. So the anchor, there's 4 of them, and that's all there is. So we're going to have a limited amount of large sponsors on this project. And first come, first served gets their first choice. Usually everybody wants top left. So the first one going gets that. But 4'1" by 3-foot panel on the video board itself. Then on the other side, stadium, that's a 2.5 by 6. So nice big panel underneath your scoreboard. Still same area, same where it's at. Increasing that brand loyalty. Commercial. And in recent years, it's been more on that hiring. Hey, we're hiring folks.
When the world keeps changing,
Here I
farmers
took
don't need to be sold.
here's an
they need to be
example of a
told.
commercial.
Precision risk management
I took
is much
from
more
our
than crop
friends down in
insurance. We are a
Bowling.
farmer's advisor.
May
to a
recognize
customer like
David
Swift.
Squires.
We take the
His
time
son
to
is playing at
understand
state.
the operation's unique needs and risks to provide a one-of-a-kind protection plan, backed with a full support team to lead the way to profitability. A true American company created to serve the American farmer.
So that can be a 15 to 30-second commercial. Right now, that is a sponsor-supplied commercial. And I do have folks that ask me, okay, what happens if we don't have one? Pretty easy nowadays to be able to make one. You can do a collage of pictures, have employees, your maybe customers, and then just do a video or audio override of that. So it's pretty simple to do that. Then the next one is coming up on, this is that feature that I mentioned. And here, we take care of that. If you become an anchor, your spot is going to be located right there. We're in the very bottom. At halftime brought to you by, or maybe it's a starting lineup brought to you by. And we have that, and we will create that for you. But there's one during every basketball and football game on that. Questions, please let me know. You're not interrupting. Now here's the one that I think is kind of cool. I didn't get this in there very well, but I call it a billboard. It's a nice way to be able to get your logo and your information up on that screen during the game. It's probably gonna be going 8 to 10 seconds during that. There's 15 of those for each of those anchors. And that is keep in mind, on those features, on these billboards, we're playing it down this area right here, the main video board. We're gonna get to these. People will ask me what's on here. I'm gonna get to that. But the featured area is in that main video part. Because we wanna do other stuff on there. We wanna have player profiles on there. We wanna have, when a kid goes up the line, what maybe their stats, those sorts of things up there. Because when it comes to advertising, we want people watching. If all we did was just a rotation throughout, that's not good advertising. People will not watch it. I know I will. So minimum 15 of those. Rotating logo during non-basketball and football. That is basically what we're doing. During non-football and non-basketball. Anybody been to a volleyball game that's been a half an hour? I have. It's been a while. Or a wrestling meet that they were not able to bring enough weight classes on there. So when we put this together, we want to make sure that we can deliver everything that we say. At a volleyball game, we might not be able to because it's not time. Basketball is time. Football is time. We know we can do that. That's why this is a rotating throughout. That makes sense? Promotion. This is where to be able to kind of be interactive with them. We call it a game night or game day. And it's your opportunity to maybe be in here and have use one of these tables and hand out a brochure, or maybe throw t-shirts or a cap or koozies, things like that out there. Maybe you want to be able to recognize employees or things like that. You have a chance to be able to do that at a football and at a basketball game. You need to work with Steve on getting the date right, Steve? And making sure that that's all arranged. But the businesses that I've worked with that have done that, it's been very, very good for them. Honestly, not everybody does this, but the ones that do, it pays off. It has a lot of returns on there. But those are for the anchors. Multimedia, logo and link on the athletic website. So you'll be, when you're going to the athletic website, finding out dates and things like that, you're gonna be up there. A customized PA announcement. The PA announcement could be brought to you by, maybe the announcer is reading it, or better yet, it's recorded, and we just press a button. So then you can have whoever you want to record it, but that's audio only, and there's one of those per game. And then a group PA announcement, basically laundry list. We want to thank all of our out sponsors for their partnership. And then social media to be determined. Well, we talked about that just a little bit ago. And this is such a valuable part, but I know that every school is different on what they offer for social media, how they put things out there. And so I don't want to hog-tie these guys into doing anything like on Facebook if they do other stuff. But I do know that they will be doing that. And so once this, if we have the community support, if we move forward with this, that's what they're going to be working with you guys on that too. Make sense? Last one, 4 activity passes. Good for all home sporting events. So you're going to be able to get in right away. Comments on that? Questions? All right, then we're going to get into the next one. And keep in mind, when we're doing this, we are keep in mind that when we're doing this, there is a limited amount of sponsors. There's going to be 4 founding partners, or excuse me, 5. Excuse me, yeah, 5. I've got this up here wrong. On here, this is showing 4. There's going to be actually 5 founding partners, and only 4 anchor partners, and we will have 1 super anchor. And that's all there is on the larger sponsors. And these guys are, where they're playing is right down here. And so that non-lit ad panel on the basketball, about 2 by 3, and then the stadium, here's what we're gonna do there. We can't put any more signage on the actual video board out there, just because our engineers that's gonna be too much of a wind load. So we can't do that. So what we do is on the concession stand, do a sports code and let the players play, let the coaches coach, let the fans cheer. And do that and have our founding partners on the top or the bottom of that. And that's been really good because it doesn't have to be big to be able to get your message out there. And so that's where it's gonna be at football. And I don't have an example of that to show you. The commercial, there's a commercial here too, but this is before the game. It's all pregame. Anchors are during the game or at halftime. So the premium spot here.
When the world.
And I don't necessarily need to go in there. And then these billboards we talked about, once again, this is their sandbox, this is where they're playing. There's 10 of those during every basketball game. And then during non-basketball or non-football, that's rotating. And I do want to touch a little bit on football on here. You notice here, we have our larger sponsors are gonna be on there. But we do need to use that as a scoreboard, because you have to show what's going on. And so when we do this, something going on, we're gonna put that score over here on that side. And so in this piece right here, we're gonna be putting all of our sponsors on a rotating basis on here, even though we're giving these, our larger sponsors, this right here. But we know we can't do it quite as much or not quite as dramatic. So we wanna make sure that we can include them. So when this comes up on the full screen, that changes over. And that'll be something that needs to be programmed in. But once again, it's just a button push on there. Those are the things that during the training, Steve, we will be talking with you guys on how to do that. But we want to make sure that we give a good value for our sponsors out there at football, because we just are limited on size, and we have to make it, we could actually zone that out differently, and nobody be able to see it because it's too small. That makes sense on there? All right. And then, once again, rotating non-basketball and non-football. Multimedia logo on the athletic website. You notice that we didn't talk any features on here. We didn't talk a link on the athletic website, and no customized PA announcements. But there's logo on the athletic website, group PA announcements for both home basketball and home football, and then social media. Once again, to be determined on how the school runs social media. That's all going to be part of that. 2 activity passes. Good for all the sporting events going on. Questions at all on that? Notice on the right side of that same brochure there, on that one, a premiere. I don't really get into this a whole lot tonight, because that's right here on the sides. That's where those premieres, that's the only spots that they have. Because they are only going to be, that's it. There's going to be no static advertiser or anything for these guys. And frankly, they do not exist without the anchors and the foundings. So that's why I don't really get too much in depth with it tonight, because we have to have anchors and foundings to make this project possible for you guys. And that's something that's very simple. Every year this could be changed, but it doesn't affect your larger, it's not going to clutter up the main video board. I think as an advertiser, that's a critical thing. I don't want to have, they could have 20 to 30 on here. I don't want those 20 to 30 on here, because that's not good. If I'm looking at it as an advertising and a not donation, I want my message to be on the main board. That's critical to me. Okay? One thing that I know a lot of people would be asking me, and I always ask for questions at this time, is what's the investment level on here? And so when we're looking at keep in mind that these are the things that, what I do, is try to get price points that are accurate. When we talked about the price points before the super anchor, I told you guys last Friday, I said I think that may be too aggressive. And so by having that super anchor up there, those anchor partners will be at $7,500 per year for each year for 5 years. The founding partners will be $3,500 per year for 5 years. And then the premier partners are $1,000 per year.
Point that out on there?
Pardon?
Point that out on there?
Point it out, the premier? Right here, right here, and right here.
Yeah, go backwards now. Start where you started.
So go through the anchor.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, anchors, $7,500 per
Okay.
year, 5 years. Founding partners, $3,500.
Which one's founding?
Foundings?
Yeah.
That's where, remember at football, the foundings are gonna be on the concession stand. I didn't really have a spot to show that
The
on
gym
there.
would be, we're gonna
And
move
then
our
in basketball,
boards to the other side.
and basketball is gonna be right here on the stat panels on that side. Football, we found a spot on the concession stand for them. Okay? And it doesn't have to be the sportsman code, it could be something else. I've had the school song, the verse of that out there. Depends on what you guys wanna do. We're just trying to find a spot for those guys to have some static advertising, some permanent pieces on it. That answer your question?
Yep.
What was the premier one again? How much?
Premier, $1,000.
When the world,
Now, the one thing, this is a turnkey entertainment and sports. They asked this question, we were talking about loyalty of fans. They asked this question a couple of years ago. Knowing that a company or brand is a sponsor for your local high school, are you more likely to do business with them or buy their product, use their service? And here's the reason why I use this. The loyalty totally is very high in high school sports, higher than anything else. 76% agree that they are going to buy from those companies. 19% are neutral, only 3% disagreed with that, they want it. And then 0.9 just didn't know, I don't think they got the question. But I look at that, and I think, and I relate it back to what Daktronics does with other sponsors. We have about a 75 to 80% renewal rate after that first 5 years of them coming back on board for these projects. So that tells me it's either doing the return on their investment or it's doing the return on objective. And every business is different. They have a different reasoning for doing this sort of a project. And so that to me matters. And so it kind of coincides with that. And then the same company asks that, what happens when companies support causes that consumers care about? Well, we care about our schools, right? 96% are gonna have more positive image. I always look at this, 93% are more loyal to that business. So if you're a bank, you're gonna stay loyal to that. If you're a car dealership, or whoever, whatever you are, they're going to be more loyal if they know that you're supporting the cause that you're about. So hopefully we covered these pieces. I didn't go through all of these. I didn't want to bore you guys to death on there. I could if anybody wanted to really get into that. But I do want to know that this is an exciting way for you to be able to put your product out there. Loyal fans are in those stands throughout the season. Football and basketball, volleyball, they're there. And they're looking for your message. They want to be able to use your product, use your service. And so what a fun way to do it while you're supporting those students that are going out there too. So this is our goal. We want to be able to, right now, getting sponsorships from folks like you, summer, fall of this year. It's tough for me to say 2025 right now, but that's when the installation of the new video board, if we have enough sponsors, to be able to do it. The one thing I'm gonna leave you with this as well, when we're doing this project, our sports marketing, we do not charge for our services in the marketing. There's other businesses around that do charge. They'll take half of the revenue, and that's kind of their method of operation. We don't. That's part of our service. You buy Daktronics, you get the service. We help you guys every step of the way. And so even in 5 years, when you want to renew, you want to maybe revamp these pieces, we're there. I've done many of them. So keep that in mind. All the revenue goes to pay for the boards, then it goes back to the school to be able to use it as you guys see fit on the revenue.
How much is the system at the football field and in the gym?
I think, what were we at, about 300 something?
315.
Yeah, 315.
Total for both?
Yeah. Now, football, if we actually had to put the new structure up there, that would probably increase that dramatically. Because we're probably looking at a minimum of $50,000 to be able to put up a new structure. Be able to put on some more boards. I've had a couple that are $100,000 plus just for installation. So that's why we're trying to keep our costs down, reuse the structure that's out there. You notice that there wasn't any sign on the top of that, because we couldn't, like what you have right now. Our engineers would not allow us to do that. So that would raise our dollar amount dramatically. So that install, that changed in 2020 after that. Boy, that hit us big time. Questions?
A couple of hardware questions, Brad.
Yeah.
The existing scoreboards, do they get moved to the north gym then? Are they recycled or?
Well, the one will stay.
instead?
The one will stay on the west end.
Yeah.
We'll just move the stat panels down there.
Oh, stats,
So
okay.
show that the stat panels will just go to that side. So the other one would just be,
Wherever you
we either
guys
keep it
want.
in case that one something goes wrong with it, or surplus it out.
Okay. Speakers that we just put in, was that last year or 2 years ago? Are they reused, or does this come with speakers? and-
No, this will just fit right
It ties into that.
Yep, ties right into it, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because you want to have that
Yep.
synchronizing with that, yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And whether we put in a sound system or not, or we use yours, it's gonna be the same. Whatever sound you have on there, we're gonna use. Great question. Did you have another one?
I did, but I gotta
Okay.
think about it.
Yes.
What's the life cycle on these displays in terms of, 300-some thousand?
10 years is
Okay.
usually, when we're looking at these, the payback is usually 5 years.
Okay.
And then to pay off the equipment based on these numbers, and then the next 5 years is do it whatever with that money. But usually 10 years is when we're gonna support these boards for 10 years. So we've got boards out there that go much further than that. And so when we say is that support, it's like a new car. If, like in 10 years, you may not be able to get all the parts for that particular car. If we have left over, just like here, if we have left over in 10, 15 years, we're gonna be able to support it. But if we don't, they're not making those parts anymore, like some of the drivers and things like that, that's when we can't support it. But we're gonna support it for 10 years. And frankly, what's going to happen right away is because it goes on a software, is your front-end equipment is probably gonna be needed to replace more soon, more quickly than anything. Because how many people have used a computer for 10 years? Not many. So you will want to replace that front-end equipment, probably year 6, something like that. The board itself, that probably will. We've had, over Yankton, we had that down there, I think, 20 years, when I started. I've been at Daktronics for 18 years. That went up the very first year, and they were still selling advertising. So, got a couple more examples on that too. But that's usually when you're looking at where support is in that 10-year. Yeah. Good question, thank you. Did you remember yours?
It was that one.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
One other question.
Yes.
So we're looking at doing the existing structure for football versus doing new. Are we looking at the same size or would they be going a lot bigger? You know what I
No,
mean? Like-
say, the board is gonna be the same
Okay.
size. That's why we're limited on that. When you look at that board, it's 8 feet tall. That's what your current one is.
Okay.
And so that's where, if we can't, our engineers say, hey, this is your footprint. If we get a big windstorm, we know that structure is gonna handle that.
Right.
If we start putting in a lot of other stuff on there, it may not.
Is that the size that people are putting in for, like? new
We've always called it a scoreboard to digital.
Okay.
And so if they go that route, yes, that is. A lot of schools, we're doing, a lot of them that we're putting in a whole new video board bigger, and we're putting in new structure on there. But trying to keep our costs, I'm from Castle, we're a small community. I realize price points matter in our communities. And so that's why we can do something along that line, still keep it a digital product, be able to have the flexibility of a digital product, and not just have just a fixed digit out there. But yeah, size of it, that's gonna be what's out there, what you see out there right now, size is gonna be the same.
So on the ones in the gym here, the kids are throwing basketballs at, how good is it? I mean, like-
It's amazing what they, if you ever, if, the only thing you don't wanna do, air-filled balls, totally fine. If you start doing baseball or softball practice in there, you wanna be careful of that. But, say if it does happen, those modules are easy to replace. We're also providing a certain amount of replacement modules, replacement parts that go with it, and those are really easy. It's all magnetic right now, and so you just have a tool that comes with it. If somebody hits it, it may continue working, but it may not. It may just hit that module, and we've got redundant circuitry on there, so it's basically just gonna be that module. It's not gonna be the whole line on there, but you just take that one out, put in another. But,
So like the football one, hail damage is obviously.
well, hail damage, you probably wanna replace with insurance, but it will, we just did Emmitsburg, Iowa, 2 years ago, we just got it up, hail hit it, and we replaced that. But before we replaced it, we used it, and looked okay. Contrast matters then, because one of the things when you're doing a video board, you wanna make sure contrast is good. So we get those, contrast makes more pictures that pop, when you have good contrast. That hurts that a little bit when stuff like that happens, because the contours on those individual modules get beat up. But like say a football, get hit by a football, it's really not gonna matter a whole lot. Non-air-filled ball could do some damage. We had a kid, where was it? Oh, Madison. They were practicing track, shot put, kick and throw. Boom, he hit one of those, and that's not a good thing. That's not an air-filled ball. And so they had to replace a couple modules on there, so. But yeah, but it's an easy fix. And 5-year warranty on parts and labor, may get that question as well. 5 years on the parts, 1 year parts and labor, the very first year. And if something's gonna happen, it's usually that on electronics.
Do you have training?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a huge deal, because we do a lot of training. We want to make sure, and it'll be an online training, and that's recorded, and we sent to those guys. It used to be on a DVD, but no longer, it's available online now. But we invite, like Steve, whoever's gonna be running that, to be part of that meeting, and make sure that they understand it. The more heads you have in there, the better off you are. Then we also do, You can hop on YouTube video if you go to the Daktronics channel. There's a lot of information on that, just in case. We also have a Facebook spot that we have schools that are talking to other schools and say, hey, what do you do on here? What do you do there? And so they're getting some of that information from the schools that are running it. That's pretty cool when you do that, because I never thought of that. And we may not think of it when we're talking to you guys. So that's an important part on there, the training. Then the one thing, kind of piggybacks a little bit with the training. If you become a sponsor, we will help collect all the logos, so you guys don't, Steve, Mike, they don't have to collect all those logos. We have a group who does it. Jody Bronson and her crew does a wonderful job of doing that. And with that, not only do they collect it, we put it in an online fulfillment site, so the pieces those documents that you have right before, they'll be on there. So 5 years down the road, what did we do? Because maybe there's different faces. Okay? You have it right there. And it's online. And so you know it's not gonna get lost. We used to do binders, and those got lost. And online, it doesn't. You have that accessibility. So, the other thing, kind of a little bit on the training, every year, we were talking, I think Mike and I were talking about that earlier, we have a video summit. We were in Lakeview, Minnesota last year, and we invite all the schools that have just gotten a video or getting a new video to come there and listen to and talk to other schools that are doing that. So much more powerful than coming from Daktronics, because that's what we're there for. They're going to give their honest opinion on how it's working for them, what they're doing with their videos, and they can come up with some pretty good deals on theirs too. The 2-day thing, we do it online and at the site, and like we were there at their football there at Lakeview this past year near Grand Falls Marshall in that area. And that's pretty cool stuff. And we do that every year. We're just at a different spot. Questions? Other questions? These are great questions. Hey, thanks everybody. We appreciate you guys being here. We're more than happy here. Just because we're done, feel free to ask questions, marketing or equipment, anything like that.
So my question, Jerry, is
Yes.
what do these people do next if they're interested?
Well, you guys will be following up
Okay.
with them. So I would recommend that you follow up, and that's why we have that sign-in sheet in the next, because remember, we were talking about having this, getting folks, securing partnerships right now with area businesses. Fast forward, if we get everybody signed up, that's when you guys can make a order for them, right? But we need to have signed contracts. So Steve, Mike, or whoever's following up, will be following up and saying, what do you think? You guys also have some folks who weren't here tonight that you're gonna be talking to. And so when you're talking to them, they'll need to sign a marketing agreement. It'll be for 5 years. And then once you have all those signed up and you're ready to go order, then we'll make that order. But you guys will need to follow up here in the next, I would advise, what day is it today? Wednesday or Tuesday? Wednesday? I'd say next Monday, start following up on there. Did that answer your question?
Yep, perfect. I just kind of wanted.
Yeah, yep. So if you have questions, Steve, right?
Yeah,
You're on, yeah.
I'll answer what I can.
Yeah.
If not, we'll go to Jerry and
Yeah.
answer.
And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Our equipment guy couldn't be here tonight. He's down in, I don't know where he's at, in western South Dakota. But otherwise, he's there too. But any one of us are more than happy to answer any questions that you guys may have. Hopefully, I helped you in the decision with that, and hopefully it made sense. And when we do these projects, I'll tell you what, I get the biggest goosebumps from seeing what the students do. I was down in Harrisburg a couple years ago, and one of the students were running the equipment. said that, she was a senior, and she said that was the first time she'd ever been at a football game. Thinking, okay, that's pretty cool. Those are the things that, to me, I get goose pimples on. So, thanks again for coming. Hope that you have a good night tonight. Feel free to ask any questions.